Haney's Big House, the legendary rhythm and blues club of Faraday. Faraday, Louisiana, may be a small town in the Mississippi Delta, but it has a big musical legacy. It is the birthplace of three famous cousins: Jerry Lee Lewis, the rock and roll pioneer; Mickey Gilley, the country music star; and Jimmy Swaggart, the televangelist and gospel singer. But before they made their mark on the world, they were influenced by another musical phenomenon in their hometown, Haney's Big House. Haney's Big House was an African-American rhythm and blues club, part of the famed Chitlin Circuit that operated from the late 1940s to the mid-1960s. It was located in the 500 block of 4th Street, now East Wallace Boulevard, in Faraday, in a building that used to be used as a grocery store. The club was owned and run by William "Will" Haney, a World War I veteran who also sold insurance and had rental properties. He was a respected and prominent businessman in the community who supported various causes and organizations. The club started as a barbecue joint where Haney served his famous ribs and chicken. Then he added gambling machines and tables where patrons could play poker, blackjack, and craps. But the main attraction was the music. Haney's Big House featured live music on the weekend nights, when the club would often accommodate 300 to 400 people at once. The stage was small, but the sound was big. Haney had a state-of-the-art sound system with speakers and amplifiers that could fill the whole block with music. Haney's Big House attracted some of the biggest names in rhythm and blues, who toured the South and stopped by Faraday. Some of the artists who performed there included Frank Coleslaw Cully, B.B. King, Ray Charles, Little Milton, Roy Brown, Solomon Burke, Percy Mayfield, Big Joe Turner, Johnny Taylor, and Irma Thomas. They played a variety of styles, from blues to soul to rock and roll, and influenced the musical tastes of the local audience. One of the most avid fans of Haney's Big House was Jerry Lee Lewis, who was just a little boy. Lewis snuck in to see the bands as a youth, hiding under tables or sneaking through the back door. He was fascinated by the piano players, who played with a wild and energetic style that he later adopted. He also learned from the singers, who sang with passion and emotion. He credits Haney's Big House as the place where he first saw people play rock and roll and where he got his inspiration for his own music. Being torn between his gospel upbringing and his love for worldly music, Jerry Lee Lewis, at the age of 8, was already a regular guest at the juke joint. By the time he was 10, he had discovered various ways on how to enter again, should they throw him out. Will Haney knew that if Jerry's uncle, Lee Calhoun, who owned half of Faraday at the time, would be furious if he found out his nephew was there listening to B.B. King, Ray Charles, and whoever else was playing at the Big House, as this kind of music was considered sinful by their church. Back then, segregation was still considered common, and for Jerry Lee to mix with the black folks in this strictly divided town would have had serious consequences for Haley, and would have meant a serious ass-whooping for the young kid. After a while, though, he knew he couldn't keep the boy, who had already made himself a name under the regulars, out of there no matter how hard he tried. So there he was, several nights a week, hiding under one of the tables, while the people around him were dancing, drinking, and having a good time. Jerry Lee soaked up the atmosphere and every song he heard. It was magic for him. He knew what he wanted to do when he grew up. When he returned home, way later than he should have, immediately rushed to his piano and played what he'd heard earlier. There was no stopping him, not Mamie and Elmo and their strong hands, not his Uncle Lee, and no God in the world would have stopped the kid from playing the music he learned to love. As the years went by, Jerry Lee, now a big star, who'd seen and played thousands of nightclubs and honky-tonks across the world, would often sit down and think of those days. He had played stadiums, coliseums, and entertained audiences of 50,000 or more. But for him, nothing could ever compare with Haney's Big House. When he spoke about Mr. Haney, as he called him, his eyes sparkled and he was that little kid again. Haney's Big House was more than just a music venue. It was a social and cultural hub where people of different classes and backgrounds mingled and enjoyed themselves together. The club, even though it was located in the black part of town, was open to everyone, as long as they behaved and respected the rules. Due to the strict segregation at the time, many white families, especially those who were a part of the Assembly of God Church, feared the place and called it the Devil's Playground. Haney was a strict but fair owner who kept order and peace in his establishment. He also had a reputation for being generous and kind, often giving free food and drinks to those in need. He was especially fond of children and would let them come in and listen to the music during the day. Haney's Big House was a legendary place in Faraday and beyond. It was featured in several documentaries, books, and articles, and was commemorated by a historical marker in 2008. It was also honored by a 2019 musical tribute, when a group of local musicians performed songs from the club's heyday at the Delta Music Museum in Faraday. Unfortunately, Haney's Big House was destroyed by a fire that consumed most of the block in 1966. The fire was suspected to be arson, but the culprit was never found. Haney died 3 years later at the age of 76 in Faraday. He was buried in the Natchez National Cemetery in Clayton, Louisiana. Haney's Big House may be gone, but it is not forgotten. It lives on in the memories of those who experienced it and in the music of those who were influenced by it. It was a place where rhythm and blues thrived and where history was made. It was, as Jerry Lee Lewis said, the greatest place in the world. As we approach the end of this killer story, let us listen to a song Jerry Lee first heard at Haney's Big House and later added to his own repertoire for many years. Big-Legged Woman, performed by Booker T. Laurie, a regular performer who performed twice a week at Haney's between 1943 and 1948. Laurie re-recorded his version of this song for Jerry's 1989 biopic, Great Balls of Fire. Now, let's close our eyes and imagine a young Jerry Lee Lewis hiding under a table, listening to this song. Thank you all for listening, and until next time when we're back for another killer story.
Like she rolled a biscuit dough. She let me down so easy, got to have